Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. As you can see from the lovely decor, I'm back at home after a week away, and I've been trying to sort of keep up with all your comments on all the videos. I think I did 4 while I was away, 4 videos, but just to sort of keep the ball rolling, keep up with the news. And yeah, I've been reading your comments. My apologies if I haven't got around to reading your comment yet. I always try to read every single comment. I can't reply to everyone because there are so many, but thank you if you've left a comment. But one guy, a guy called Jim, I hope you're watching this, Jim, he asked me to comment on, basically to comment on the idea of trilogies, of fistic trilogies, because what we get is very often we get a guy wins one fight, the first fight. They have a rematch and the opponent wins the other. And then it stands to reason there should be a decider in my mind. I get very irritated nowadays when I hear, well, so-and-so got revenge. No, he's evened the score. Yeah, I mean, you could call it revenge if you want, but it's still only one each. And the obvious example in recent years is Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith, because Liam Smith stopped Eubank in, was it 4 or 5 rounds? 4 rounds, I want to say. And then Eubank won the rematch in 9 or 10. And, okay, I got my revenge, says Eubank. Well, maybe you did, but it's still one each. And he stopped you before you stopped him quicker. Or he stopped you quicker before you stopped him. So there should be a rematch, a third fight, a trilogy fight. You know, some of the greatest, rivalries in the history of boxing have been trilogies. And that's only going back, say, 60 years, only 60 years. If you go back before that, some fighters, especially when the colour bar was in, you'd get all sorts of fighters that couldn't get title shots because they were black. They were fighting each other 6, 7, 8 times, 4 or 5 times to fight for 2 leading contenders to fight was nothing. And again, a very obvious example would be Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. But if you go way back, if you go back 100 plus years, you're talking about people like Sam Langford, McVeigh, all these black fighters who never really got an opportunity. They won the what was called the coloured titles, but they had to fight each other repeatedly. And you got the Murderers Row-Lot, Charlie Burley, Burt Lytell, maybe 4 or 5 others. There is some argument as to who fits in that category, the Murderers Row-Lot. But nevertheless, they settle things, by having a string of fights. Now, Jim, in the comments section, my subscriber, he said, what happens, what's my opinion if Fury and Usyk draw in their rematch? Does Fury deserve a third fight? Because one's been a win and one's been a draw. Well, you could say that Fury has had that experience before because he drew in the first fight with Wilder, then he knocked Wilder out in the mid-rounds in the rematch, and then they had a third fight, which was contracted, which is why the proposed AJ versus Fury fight at the time didn't end up happening, even though Arum and Warren and had allowed Eddie Hearn to do all the heavy lifting and run around the world trying to finalise that fight. Suddenly, Fury was fighting Wilder. And as we know, it finished with 2 wins and a draw for Fury, even though I think he won that first fight as well. And it was a great little trilogy, even though Wilder didn't win a single one. It was a good trilogy. There was entertainment there. There were some very, very memorable moments, like when Fury, rose from the canvas in the final round of the first fight. Or, when he was on the floor twice against Wilder in the early rounds, of the third fight. I mean, there was entertainment there. But if you have a draw and a win, I think there is pretty much less demand for a third fight. Or thinking about it logically, there perhaps should be less demand. But of course, money talks, and it's down to money, isn't it? It's down to whether the cash is on the table. And of course, we live in the era of our friend the excellent Turkey and Riyadh season. And if Mr. Al-Sheikh wants what he wants, he's going to get it because he's got lots of money. Or for the most part, he will get it. There are 1 or 2 absentees, abstainers, Canelo being the most prominent of them. Tim Tszyu and his crew said, no, I'd rather do my thing. It didn't work out very well, did it? But, you know, for the most part, Turki Al-Sheikh, he wants it. I think he still wants AJ versus Fury. And you know what? A lot of casuals will probably want that. Now, I think if Fury does win the rematch against Usyk, I want to see a third fight. I always believe in deciders, right? Having said that, and I know some people say, yeah, but there's a queue of other good fights that we haven't seen. Yeah, I know. But I think Fury and Usyk, they kind of deserve that. They fought for the undisputed title and they kind of earned the right to do that by winning all the belts, respectively, at different times. And I want to see a conclusive winner. So let's say Fury comes back and stops Usyk late, just to play devil's advocate. I don't think he will, but, you know. Of course, a third fight is a must because it's one each, because we haven't separated the two. Do you know what I mean? And the others will just have to wait. They'll just have to wait. You know, we've become a world of people, I was going to say a nation of people, but a world of people who don't like waiting for anything anymore. Everything's got to be self-gratification. Everything's got to be now. Well, no, if you want the best, sometimes you have to wait for it. And yes, Dubois, I mean, Dubois has proved himself. He's got the IBF title. You've got other very good, very strong contenders, but they'll have to wait. And why can't they fight each other? You know, and some people say, well, yeah, let them fight each other, then they can knock each other off. Well, I'm not someone who cares about defeats. You know, if like a Dubois has 2 defeats where he quit in both and he's able to come back, good, that's fine. He obviously learnt from those mistakes because that's how we learn. I keep saying this in videos, and I know you're probably getting sick of me saying it, but it happens to be the truth. I'm not big on this cult of the zero. I don't give a shit about that. But okay. Anyway, getting back to the issue of trilogy fights. Yeah, I believe in trilogy fights. I really do. I think they're a great addition to boxing history. If there's a win and a draw, okay, I get the point that I get why my subscriber Jim asked that question. You know, it is a little. There's less demand, isn't there, if there's a draw? I mean, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, for example, had 2 fights. Eubank won the first one by stoppage. Ben drew with Eubank in the rematch at Old Trafford. And a lot of people thought he won that fight. I thought it was very, very close. So it finished with Chris with 1 win and a draw. Nigel didn't have any wins, but had a draw. Thomas Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard. That epic fight, classic 15-rounder where Leonard stopped Hearns late, came from behind to do it. Had it been a 12-rounder, Tommy would have won, according to the cards. But it was a 15-rounder, he got stopped. They had a rematch years later, only because Leonard thought Hearns was shot, and he kind of looked in a bad way. He'd struggled against James Kinchin. He'd looked shaky against Juan Roldan. You know, he was past his best, but Ray ended up getting floored twice, and Tommy managed to hang on in the final round. He almost got stopped by Ray in the last round, which you could have made a 10-8, and there was a draw decided. But so I suppose let's put it this way, if there's a draw with Usyk and Fury, and it really is debatable whether who won, you know, and a lot of people are saying, I think Fury won that, then I think Fury might say, you know, he'll say, well, the first fight was very close. I clearly won the second fight, but got robbed, because he'll bring out the old robbed word, the R word, which no one can resist when something doesn't go their way, or when there's anything ever so slightly, you know, debatable. Suddenly it's a robbery, which of course it isn't. But I think that will happen. I think if it's close, Fury might say, oh, right, bring on AJ. That's where the money is. And Usyk might have a rematch with Dubois. I'm only putting these out of the air, these ideas. I'm not sure there'd be the monetary demand for a third fight. But contractually, if there's something in the contract, they might have to have a third fight, just like with Wilder and Fury. And also, don't forget, you know, we're talking about people who are not in there, who are not that young anymore. I wonder if it was a draw, if Usyk might say, I've had enough. He's said things to the contrary, but he's going to quit at some time. And to retire undefeated, even if one of them was to be a draw, it's still an immense achievement, considering the people he's faced And he's done it all on the road, all on the road. But, you know, you tell me what you think. What do you think about trilogies? When do you think they're relevant? When do you think they're necessary? Do you not like trilogies? Do you much prefer, you know, fighters fight each other and there's all this sort of cross-pollination going on all the time? That's a bit of a throwback. You see, in the old days, I mean, I want to say the old timers, they wouldn't just fight each other repeatedly. They would, first of all, they would fight each other all the time. No one really ducked anyone. And they fight each other more than once, who had the best of both worlds. But in the modern day, nah, it's not going to happen, is it? But I don't know. You know. Let me know what you think. Give me opinions below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button if you like the video. And please spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Your opinions, your views, all the likes, it's all appreciated. Trust me, it is. And you're doing the channel a very big favour. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will speak to you all soon. Bye for now.